Kazakhstan is one of the most multinational countries which gathered representatives of more than 130 ethnicities and nations. Each ethnicity has unique traditions, inimitable holidays, interesting stories and amazing recipes. Recipes of kindness and peace, recipes of respect to your own roots and other people's culture, recipes for friendship. Hello, this is a program for Recipe for Friendship. My name is Alevtina Madyarova and today I invite you to remember the main event of the year for our entire country and to look at the place where it all took place. Of course, I'm talking about EXPO 2017. We will visit the exhibition pavilions of different countries, at the same time studying the details of the life and culture of their representatives. Since the main theme of the World Exhibition in Astana is the energy of the future, I suggest starting our excursion from the pavilion of one of the most technologically advanced countries, South Korea. It is believed that the history of the development of science and technology in Korea dates back to the Paleolithic era. Even then, people who inhabited the Korean peninsula mastered high-performance tools, microliths. During the same period, people first began to study and use plants that later became used for medicinal purposes. Guests and participants of the Expo could not only get acquainted with the latest developments of Korean scientists in the field of supermodern energy sources, but also see the traditional Korean costume, try Korean delicacies, and even see Korean dances. However, we already know something about Korean dancers. From ancient times, in all traditions, the drums served cult and ritual purposes. To cause rain, to gather people for the holiday, to inspire wars for military feats or something else, it's always please. But what's interesting is that in the Korean tradition, fragile girls played on these powerful drums. K-pop today literally took over the planet, but in the country from which it originated, people did not forget the traditional forms of choreographic art. Dance with drums certainly is one of those, and dancers from the Korean ensemble of Namson, well known in Almaty, can perhaps be considered the guardians of the ancient canons of this art. These drums are considered to be made by an ancient version. With their help, evil spirits were driven out, rain was caused. How is this used? Well, it sounds like this. It is curious that contrary to the popular rule, the newer, the more compact, the more modern version of the drum is much larger than its ancient predecessor. Often it turns out that an old dance or show carries with it more than just an entertaining function. As a rule, there is a story told in the movements and sounds. Korean dance with drums in this sense is not an exception. The production tells about how a musical instrument became a temptation for a Korean monk, who in the end is inferior to his desires. This story is very instructive. We begin with the right drum, right hand. In Korea, there is no national holiday that can do without them. How many can participate in the ensemble at the same time? Well, you can use one drum and you can use them in the kit, like right now. Speaking of traditional choreographic art, we cannot fail to mention the dance with fans. In Korea, it is called Puchechun. This dance is considered one of the most elegant in the world and not casual. Fans in the hands of skilled dancers are transformed into huge butterflies, a luxurious flower, other colorful elements. I want to do the same. Well, that's it. I cannot stand it just like that. You do it so beautifully. Teach me too. I've grown 2 fans and I have a skirt just like you. In skillful hands, the fans seem to move themselves to the rhythm of the music, and all this seems very simple. Despite the seeming simplicity, it is quite difficult to master the dance. You can only achieve smooth movements with full concentration and proper breathing. One more interesting pavilion which everyone had a chance to visit at the Expo 2017, the Pavilion of Germany. The pavilion was very bright, as if it tried to say, "Do not pass by." Well, I'm sure you didn't. The exhibition was divided into two parts: Map of the Future and the City of the Future, where visitors could touch, experience and participate in the creation of unusual exhibits. They clearly demonstrated the enormous potential and high competence of Germany in the field of energy supply. Well, the brightest moment of visiting the pavilion is the Power Show. Sensational laser presentation put people at the forefront as the main driving force of the new energy policy and offered an exciting collective experience. And while you are impressed with the incredible fruits of technology development of one of the most advanced European countries, I invite you to recall the tremendous recipe for friendship that we have learned by getting acquainted with the representatives of the German diaspora in Kazakhstan. Hello. Have you lived here long enough? Yes, it is the second year. Well, you speak so well, like you have been living here for 20 years. It's from school, we had good teachers. Well, today you will be my teacher then. What will we cook? We will prepare Strama Max. And what does it mean? Well, Max is the name and Strama means satisfying, dense, high calorie. So did Max invent such a high calorie thing? Perhaps. I cannot exactly explain the name. But is this a German dish? Yes, this is a German dish, yes. Well, the ingredients are cheese, salami, butter, eggs, vegetables and bread. Yes, and I buy a certain bread which reminds me very much of German. Because we have salt, sugar is not customary to add, so I buy it, not what I got. Reminds our Borodinsky. Yes, Borodinsky I ate in Russia, but this one is called Baltic for some reason. It looks like my most favorite grade of Lithuanian bread. Well, where do we start? Well, I would first of all put the skillet with butter because we need to fry the bread. Good. Let's start cooking. Do Germans love high-calorie food? Well, I would not say that we love, we just have traditionally such a cuisine. We now have health problems because people move less and the food is as high as it was 200 years ago. There are certain problems. Maybe then there are such products that can be called the basis of German cuisine. The French, for example, have bread, cheese and wine, and the Germans? I would then, by analogy, said this way: bread, sausage and beer. Bread, sausage and beer. That's the basis of the correct German diet. So the bread is a broth. Butter is Butter. Ja, genau, die Butter. It's an article, huh? A certain feminine gender. And in German the articles are also divided according to the sex. Yes, this is the difficulty. When people first learn English and then began to learn German. So the next step, I'll put salt on the bread, then cheese, then we can cut the tomato and add it there. Then we'll fry the egg. And while I prepare our vegetables, Florian's business is coming to the end. And what are you doing here in Kazakhstan? I'm teaching German. Have you heard there is such an organization, Goethe Institute, named after the great Goethe? They're all over the world, conduct language courses as well as many cultural events. Personally, Christmas Day, which is the main one for us, I will spend there. You can join if you want to attend. What is good about Recipe for Friendship program is that you always have good acquaintances and invitations to holidays. They already asked us to come for Christmas. Now, bread, cheese and salami were covered with slices of tomatoes, and on top we lay out one fried egg. Now we need to decorate it beautifully. That is quite simple, fast enough, but authentic. In a few minutes we have prepared a dish which I would say is harder to pronounce than to cook. Well, everything is ready. You can serve. How to serve in Germany? Servieren. I think it came from French. They're great gourmets. I really like that with seeming simplicity there are enough ingredients here and it pulls on such a full-fledged lunch. Teach me the most important phrase, how to say bon appétit. Guten Appetit. Guten Appetit. Well, it's done and I'm going to learn German. And you stay and try to cook Strama Max in your kitchen. We had a bite and we go further. I invite you, together with the participants of EXPO 2017, to move to another part of the world to direct your eyes to the development of technology in the Arab countries. The pavilion of the United Arab Emirates, for example, set as its goal to demonstrate that the country, the impetus to development of which gave development of oil deposits, looks far ahead and doesn't invest all its efforts on oil revenues. The future, as you know, cannot be without the past, and in the country so beloved by Kazakhstanis and in many ways close to us mentally, they remember it. And through these ancient Arabian calendar, ancient Arab masters were washing ancient Arab pasta. Although in reality it is the tools of the pearl fishermen. The traditional Arab dwelling as a rule is divided into a guest area and a private one. This one, let's name it a terrace, called majlis. It is something like a living room. A guest here will be served tea or coffee and then they will be fed and even offered to rest, get enough sleep from the road. After all, to whom, as not to the nomads, to know how important it is for an exhausted traveler to rest under the roof of a hospitable house, a yurt or a heath. Haymoy in Arabic is called the traditional tent of the nomad. This word is also used to call the headdress and the hat itself. And yet, it's a hay. It's a hat-like thing that hangs on the wall. You know for what it serves? It is used to cover food on the table from flies and sun. A traditional drink in this region is coffee, more precisely gahva. Grains that are used for this type of coffee is not of a dark roast, but gahva is brewed several times until the drink becomes thick and dark. For ordinary coffee, this is little like the Arab version, is much stronger and hotter. But if you try it, you surely will like it. Serve this coffee with dates and halva. Another nomadic people close to us in spirit and traditions, Turkmen. Many are interesting in the culture of this ethnos, for example, costume. Turkmen people look very similar to us, so maybe their appearance won't attract your attention if you see them in the crowd. But if you meet Turkmen people at some kind of festivities, they will attract your attention with their costume. Turkmens, for example, do not like black color. Well, really black, it attracts the sun. It's very hot in the summer. The basic colors used in the traditional Turkmen dress are white, yellow, blue and red. Necessarily, white color is present. It is the color of the universe. Mostly three colors: white, yellow and blue. The basis of the female costume is panties, balak and dress, koinek. In general, Turkmen clothing since ancient times retains simplicity of form and balance in details. But a ruffled robe or a camisole, which in Turkmen has many names, for example kute or chirpe, is more characteristic of ladies solid, married or aged. And what is characteristic of Turkmenistan, even in the cities such an outfit is in use in everyday life so far. A lady in a national dress can be found in the capital and even in the provinces, and even more so. At the same time, it should be noted that the Turkmen costume for a long time remained almost one of the most complex among the suits of the Iranian tribal peoples. One of the reasons is complicated embroidery. Embroidery are very different. Here the Turkmens have 5, so to speak, juzes, 5 tribes, and each tribe has its own embroidery, and mostly the geometric pattern prevails. In general, in Turkmen ornaments, mostly there are geometric patterns. Complex embroidery made in technique, ishte, heim, kok, chigma or rama, contains many ancient symbols on which the drawing was once based. Now in the course of embroidery machine, these are details of the clothes, the gait, the central pattern ready to sew on the dress, cutting of the excess. A gul is a flower, yaka is a collar, flower on the collar. The gul yaka is of different sizes, sometimes even completely covering the chest. But it is believed that women like Amazons, like armor, wore these ornaments from silver. Bracelets are the silver items which protected them from the enemy arrows. There is also one more version which exists in many countries populated by nomads, about why women wore a lot of jewelry on them, and not only on holidays. This is the capital which is always with you if suddenly it was necessary to be removed from the spot. And a safe of its own kind, after all, jewelry was often hidden under clothes. This is also a gulyaka. Yes, in the center there is a round gulyaka and the ornament around. The total weight of jewelry reached 7 kilograms, and during the wedding the bride was also wearing a heavy silver hat. A bride and happy, it's her dowry. We will continue our journey along the wave of bright memories and the pavilions of the last exhibition of EXPO 2017. The Caribbean countries are famous for their hedonism and easy attitude to life, and here apparently did not depart from their traditions. However, we have already got acquainted with the musical rhythms of the Caribbean, in particular with the Cuban. Well, tell me a little about the instruments you play. This is a shakery. Shakery? Yes, because it sounds like this. A pumpkin tree. What is this? Beans? Is this made of leather? This is leather, yes? And this is aguero. That's, in my opinion, this is what you most often hear in Cuban songs. How it should be done correctly, show me. Well, and the greatest, most impressive are congi. The most viral sound from which you want to dance right away. Really, every time when you get together at home, you arrange such parties? What do the neighbors say? Or do they come too to dance? Yes, they are already used to it. There is a remarkable expression in Spanish which apparently can explain much in the mentality of the Cubans and other inhabitants of the Caribbean basin, and even the Spaniards. No pasa nada. That is, nothing happened, or nothing terrible, all the nonsense. I do not know if you would like to have Cubans as your neighbors, but it's fun and at least unusual. What are the most favorite dances in Cuba? Salsa. Well, salsa, I remember Tito Puente saying, "I'm playing music, not the sauce." Because salsa is an American word. Well, son, guaracha, we have a lot. Rumba. Guaguanco. Guaguanco for an unprepared person is very difficult. It's a whole theater. While can it be simpler for something? Maybe reggaeton or salsa. Maybe he will teach you. Let's try. Come on. There are many exhibitions and events and bright holidays worthy of world attention ahead for Kazakhstan. On this happy note for today, I say goodbye. Not for long, of course. This was Recipe for Friendship. See you soon.